Set in Buenos Aires, the film opens with a news report warning that crime in the city is on the rise, especially violent robberies. The story then shifts to Sebastian, a seasoned lawyer who regularly handles cases for powerful officials, including those involved in corruption. Like any other morning, Sebastian heads out to work to deal with his clients. His secretary calls to remind him that he has only 1 hour to get to court because his boss, Goldstein, has a strategy to win the case and wants to discuss it with him first. Before going to court, Sebastian stops by the apartment of his ex-wife, Delia, to take their 2 children, Luca and Luna, to school since they have a study tour that day. Almost every morning, taking care of his children comes before his job. When he reaches the parking area, Sebastian receives a call from his sister, Gabriela. She is terrified because her ex-husband, Pedro, has been stalking her and even threatening to hurt her if she keeps seeing him. Sebastian tries to calm her down, saying Pedro will eventually go away on his own, and promises to call her back since he is in a hurry. After that, Sebastian asks the apartment's security guard, Rubio, to remind the residents on the 6th floor not to park in his spot anymore. He often chats with Rubio about soccer, so their relationship is fairly friendly. Sebastian then takes the elevator up to the 7th floor, where Delia's apartment is located. He shares the elevator with Gabriel, a resident from the 5th floor who dislikes children because he finds them noisy and sometimes behaves rudely toward Sebastian. When Sebastian arrives at the apartment, Luca and Luna are excited to see their father. While the children get ready, Sebastian talks with Delia, who once again asks him to sign the custody agreement so she can have full custody of the children. Delia believes the environment there is not safe and plans to take Luca and Luna to Spain, where she also wants to care for her sick father. However, for months, Sebastian has refused to sign the papers. He cannot imagine being far away from his children. He also believes Delia's father can be taken care of by other relatives in Spain. Before leaving for work, Delia hands Sebastian a phone for Luca to use if they need to call either parent, as well as Luna's medication for her illness. Sebastian gives the phone to Luca, explaining that it can be used to contact him or Delia anytime. However, he forgets to give Luna her medicine. As usual, Luca and Luna invite their father to race them down to the ground floor. The children take the stairs, while Sebastian is told to go down using the elevator. While riding the elevator, Sebastian receives a threatening message from Pedro, blaming him for everything and warning him to face the consequences. Sebastian ignores it. The elevator briefly stops, then continues downward. When Sebastian finally reaches the ground floor, Luca and Luna are nowhere to be found. They have completely vanished. This is where everything goes wrong. This is the 7th floor. Sebastian checks the other stairwells in the apartment building, but his children are nowhere to be found. The phone he just gave to Luca is already unreachable. Thinking that Rubio might have missed them, Sebastian runs outside the building and searches all the way to the nearby intersection, but they are not there either. Rubio suggests that Luca and Luna might have stopped by a neighbor's apartment, Natalia's place, since they are close with her. However, when Sebastian contacts Natalia through the apartment intercom, she says the children never came to her unit. At this point, Sebastian's panic grows. He runs up and down both staircases again and again, checking every floor, even the basement parking area. There is still nothing. He goes back to Delia's apartment, but it is completely empty as well. When he returns to the 1st floor, a woman from the 6th floor tells him that earlier she saw Luca and Luna running down the stairs. This only makes Sebastian more confused because it feels impossible for his children to simply vanish. Rubio then suggests asking for help from a senior inspector named Rosales, who lives on the 3rd floor. Rosales considers that the children might have gone straight to school on their own, or could even be playing a game of hide-and-seek. Sebastian explains that his children never go to school alone and are always accompanied by him or Delia. Rosales responds that children can sometimes act unpredictably and advises Sebastian to call the school first to make sure. After contacting the school, Sebastian learns that Luca and Luna never arrived. Meanwhile, Rubio keeps questioning residents who are leaving the building, asking if anyone saw the children that morning. No one has, since there is still no clear answer, and the children could have left the building without anyone noticing. Rosales decides to request police assistance so officers can at least secure the apartment complex. Delia tries to call Sebastian, but he immediately ends the call. His head is already spinning, and he does not want to alarm her yet. He informs his colleague that he will be late for court, then starts knocking on apartment doors, searching unit by unit from the 1st floor up to the 6th. Still, no one has seen Luca or Luna. Not long after, Rosales informs Sebastian that the police are on their way to guard the building. He also considers the worst-case scenario that the children may have been kidnapped and taken out through the basement parking area. The building has 2 exits. the main entrance near Rubio's desk and another exit leading directly to the basement between the two spiral staircases. With no other choice left, Sebastian finally calls Delia and tells her the truth, that their children disappeared while going down the stairs. Hearing this, Delia panics and immediately leaves her office to rush back to the apartment. Two police officers arrive to guard the front entrance and monitor anyone coming in or out. At the same time, Sebastian suddenly thinks about Gabriel, the resident who did not open his door when Sebastian was checking apartments one by one. Earlier, Gabriel had been in the same elevator with him, which meant he should have been inside his unit. Without wasting time, Sebastian pounds on Gabriel's door, and when it opens, he rushes inside. Still, Luca and Luna are nowhere to be found. Overwhelmed by fear and anger, Sebastian pressures Gabriel to explain what he knows. Gabriel is clearly terrified and insists he has no idea where the children are. Rubio steps in and tries to calm Sebastian down before things spiral further. After that, Sebastian checks the rooftop, but no one is there. Not long after, Sebastian receives a call from his boss, Goldstein, informing him that the court session is about to begin. If Sebastian does not show up, the hearing will be postponed, which could seriously weaken their client's position. Sebastian can only promise to arrive within 30 minutes without explaining why. When Sebastian returns to the first floor, Delia has already arrived at the apartment. Seeing how emotional she is, Sebastian tries to explain everything as calmly as possible. Delia immediately accuses Natalia of kidnapping their children, since Natalia is the resident who is closest to Luca and Luna. In her panic, Delia believes Natalia may have become obsessed with them. Even though Sebastian insists that Natalia would never do such a thing, Delia storms into Natalia's apartment anyway. In the end, she can only apologize because no one is there and nothing is found. With her emotions in chaos, Delia then turns her suspicion towards Sebastian himself, accusing him of hiding Luca and Luna somewhere to keep her from gaining full custody. Sebastian can only shake his head and insist that he would never do something so cruel. Soon after, Goldstein calls again, furious that Sebastian still has not arrived. This time, Sebastian finally tells him the truth, that his children have disappeared and may have been kidnapped. At that point, he no longer cares about the court case, because the safety of Luca and Luna is all that matters to him. Later, Sebastian hears that the court session has been postponed. That news triggers a disturbing thought. He begins to suspect that the kidnapping might be connected to the trial, possibly carried out by the opposing side to distract him and force a delay. Acting on that fear, Sebastian contacts the opposing lawyer and accuses him of orchestrating the kidnapping to win the case. The accusation is firmly denied, with the claim that no matter how badly someone wants to win, they would never resort to something so vile. As Sebastian spirals in worry over his children's fate, Rosales arrives with new information. There is another resident in the building named Pascal, a former criminal who lives on the second floor. Since Pascal does not seem to be home, Sebastian asks Rubio to get the spare key. Once again, the search leads nowhere. Luca and Luna are not there. Rosales explains that police patrol cars are already spreading out to search the surrounding area. He advises Sebastian to go home and try to calm himself while waiting for news from the authorities. Sebastian tells Delia to return to her apartment first, saying he wants to check the basement parking area one more time. Instead, Sebastian's suspicion suddenly turns toward Rubio. Earlier, the elevator had stopped unexpectedly, and Sebastian begins to wonder if Rubio could have pressed the stop button. Rubio denies any involvement, insisting that from the beginning he only wanted to help and had no intention of setting Sebastian up.
No te hagas el pelotudo porque te mato, hijo de puta, te mato. ¡Soltá, hijo! Te juro que te mato. Escúchame, yo no tengo nada que ver. Yo estoy como desde el principio. Flaco.
Convinced that the children were taken by someone inside the apartment building, Sebastian's suspicion shifts again, this time toward Rosales. He contacts a colleague and asks him to dig deeper into Rosales' background, hoping to find something that might explain what is happening. After that, Sebastian goes to Delia's apartment to apologize for his behavior. He admits that he has been too focused on work and has neglected his family. He also apologizes for having an affair with Delia's close friend, the incident that ultimately pushed Delia to seek a divorce. Sebastian then remembers the first time he met Delia in Spain. Back then, he had just been robbed and lost all his belongings. Feeling sorry for him, Delia invited him for coffee to help him calm down. Not long after, Gabriela calls again, saying that her ex-husband, Pedro, is trying to break into her house. Hearing this, Sebastian recalls the threatening message Pedro sent earlier, still holding a grudge because he believes Sebastian convinced Gabriela to divorce him. After thinking it through, Sebastian becomes certain that Pedro is not the one behind the kidnapping. Pedro is hot-tempered, and if he wanted revenge, he would more likely damage Sebastian's car or attack Sebastian directly, not take his children. Soon, Sebastian's colleague reports troubling news. Rosales was recently involved in a car accident that killed someone. Because of that incident, Rosales is now drowning in debt, an amount equal to 2 years of his salary as a police inspector. This revelation deepens Sebastian's suspicion that Rosales kidnapped Luca and Luna to demand ransom money and cover his debts. Sebastian asks his colleague to send someone to Gabriella's house to protect her from Pedro. Then he heads straight to Rosales' apartment. When no one answers the door, Sebastian takes a spare key from Rubio's office and quietly lets himself inside. Inside the apartment, he finds only Rosales' mother. When Rosales suddenly appears and catches Sebastian there, he explodes in anger over the accusations and the implication that his debts are a motive for kidnapping. Rosales strikes Sebastian, trying to snap him out of his paranoia. Despite his financial troubles, Rosales insists he is an honest police officer who would never be tempted by dirty money.
¿Cuánto? ¡Basta!
Right after that, Delia informs Sebastian that the kidnapper has finally called. The call ends almost immediately, but moments later it comes through again. This time, it is clearly a woman.
Hola.
Sos el padre de los chicos. Si hacen lo que les decimos, a los chicos no les va a pasar nada.
She demands a ransom of $100,000 to be paid within 2 hours if Sebastian wants Luca and Luna returned safely. She explains that she will contact Sebastian again with instructions on where to drop the money. There must be no police involved, or the children's lives will be at risk. After the call ends, Rosales offers to secretly follow Sebastian to help him. Sebastian refuses, unwilling to take any chances, and decides to handle it alone. Now completely overwhelmed, Sebastian struggles to think. How could he possibly get that much money in just 2 hours? The only person he knows who has that amount of cash is his boss, Goldstein. Without wasting time, Sebastian heads straight to Goldstein's office. Of course, more problems arise. Sebastian's phone battery is almost dead, and his car breaks down. With no other choice, he takes a taxi. When traffic slows to a crawl, he gets out and runs the rest of the way, since the office is already nearby. Sebastian and his colleague meet with Goldstein and explain everything that has happened. Sebastian promises to repay the $100,000. Goldstein is clearly reluctant, since it is a massive amount of money. Desperate and running out of time, Sebastian threatens to expose Goldstein's dirty financial dealings if he refuses. With only 1 hour left before the deadline, Goldstein finally gives in and takes the cash from his safe, warning that Sebastian will pay for this later. After borrowing a car from his colleague, Sebastian soon receives another call from the kidnapper. He is instructed to go to a dock and leave the money at a yellow pillar. Wanting reassurance that his children are still safe, Sebastian insists on hearing from them, and Luna briefly speaks to him, confirming they are alive. Sebastian arrives at the dock and leaves the money at the yellow pillar. Shortly after, a hired courier appears, collects the cash, and confirms to the kidnapper that the amount is correct. The kidnapper then calls again, promising to reveal where the children will be released. Before Sebastian can hear anything, his phone battery finally dies. Panicked, he rushes back to the apartment. There, he discovers that Luca and Luna have already been released inside an empty unit on the 4th floor.
Papa!
The children explain what happened. The woman bought them plenty of food and drinks, treated them kindly, and even claimed to be a friend of their father. Because of that, Luca and Luna never felt like they were being kidnapped, only invited to play. Overcome with relief, Sebastian holds his children tightly, grateful beyond words that they are safe and unharmed. After everything that happens, Sebastian asks Delia to speak privately. He admits his mistakes as a selfish man who took a good woman for granted. Once again, he apologizes for everything he has done in the past and says he wants them to start over from the beginning. Delia, however, cannot give him an answer. In her mind, their relationship is already beyond repair. On top of that, she plans to take Luca and Luna to Spain that very night. The rising crime in the city has made her feel unsafe, especially after their children were just kidnapped. After giving it serious thought, Sebastian finally agrees and signs the custody papers. He puts Delia and the children into a taxi and promises that he will follow them to Spain later. As the car drives away, Sebastian stands there in silence, staring at the now empty apartment. Later, Sebastian stops by the empty unit on the 4th floor where Luca and Luna were released. Food is still scattered around the room. That is when he notices something shocking. Luna's medication is completely gone. In that moment, the truth becomes clear. The real mastermind behind the kidnapping is their own mother, Delia. Sebastian had never given Luna her medicine earlier, and only Delia had access to those pills. Realizing what has happened, Sebastian rushes to the airport, calling Delia again and again, but she never answers. When he arrives, he quickly searches for his children. Luca and Luna spot him first and run straight to him.
Papá! Papá! Papá!
Chicos!
Papi!
Sebastian tells them that their mother has to travel alone and leave the three of them behind, using passport issues as an excuse. Sebastian then quietly confronts Delia and makes it clear that everything is over. At first, Delia insists on leaving with the children. Sebastian responds by warning her that he will reveal the truth to Luca. He also knows that Luna could easily send Delia to prison for the kidnapping. With no other choice, Delia is forced to leave her children behind. She is devastated by her own actions, realizing how much damage she has caused. To comfort Luca and Luna, Delia claims that she has to leave to care for their sick grandfather. As she walks away, she can only cry, filled with regret over the kidnapping and the separation she caused. In the end, Sebastian takes Luca and Luna home to begin a new chapter together. At last, he understands that family must always come before his career. So the moral of the story is, if you forget your kid's medicine, ignore your phone battery, and trust everyone in your apartment, your entire life can turn into a very expensive hide-and-seek game.